Let's go. Just gonna make sure that's set up. Cool. Right, so I'm gonna intro you and then we'll go into it, okay? So I'm lucky enough to be joined by Gary today, one of our longest serving clients at Brightside for our Whiteley location. We're going to be discussing his story, his weight loss journey so far, and a few tips from himself for those of you looking to do it yourself as well. So Gary, first of all for you then, what sort of things were you struggling with before you came to Brightside? Had you been taking action on your own, and how was that working out?
Yeah, so before Brightside, a bit like Boris Johnson, I was too fat. So I was hovering around the kind of 19, 20 stone mark for my late 20s and quite a lot of my 30s, and that was just too much. So I decided to do something about it probably about 5 years ago. And on my own, I got down to the kind of 17.5 stone mark. Not too bad, but then I kind of hit a bit of a wall. I wasn't really losing much weight. I was going to the gym a little bit on my own, but I wasn't really making progress. So that's when I first met Brightside, and Heather was the first person that I met there. And I thought, well, why don't I try some personal training? I've heard some good things from some of my colleagues at work. So I gave it a go, and quite quickly it kind of got me back on the track of a bit of weight loss. And I think the reason for that is it just introduced me to a much wider range of kind of exercises. I was doing quite a lot of cardio, but I wasn't doing a lot of strength work. And when I got into that, I really started to see kind of more improvements, and my weight loss started again. And over perhaps the last 2 years, I have upped it quite a lot, probably averaging 4 sessions a week overall. But now I've got my weight down to just below 15 stone, which is kind of where I want to be. I think it's about the right weight for my height, as I am quite tall. And the other good thing is my waist size. God, it was like, I used to have 44-inch waist trousers or something. Now they're back down to 34, so that's a lot better as well. That I can
Huge difference, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a bit easier buying clothes, to be honest. So yeah, it's been really good. But the main thing is just the improvement in my fitness. I was starting to get a few niggles as well with my knee, with my shoulder and my back. And I think they were all, to be honest, being driven by being overweight and being in not very good shape. And now that I've lost the weight and I'm in better shape, all of those 3 areas have all just got a bit better. So I kind of
awesome.
I feel better now than I did kind of probably 5-10 years ago. So that's really good.
Always a good place to be in, isn't it? Definitely. Yeah. What sort of areas were being impacted in your life before you came in and started dropping weight and got on that journey? Was there anything in particular that you're feeling really tough that you thought this just shouldn't be an issue?
Yeah, it was really little things, to be honest. I can remember getting out of the car, and when you get out of the car, you're kind of twisting a bit, and that twisting motion was putting quite a lot of pressure on my knee, and it was like, oh, come on, I'm only 35, I shouldn't be having these little niggles. Doing day-to-day ordinary things shouldn't be a big deal. But I was starting to notice things, and that was part of the reason to do something about it before I got a lot older. And a lot of those little niggles have really dropped off now. You know, if I clean the car, for example, I do remember 5 years ago my near date later in the day, and I'd see stuff, and that doesn't happen anymore. You know, I'm a lot more mobile, so that's really good news.
Just all the aches and pains have tended to appear pretty much.
Yeah, and I think when you're very heavy, you know, you move in a certain way and you get used to certain patterns of moving that aren't really always very good. You start to get a bit of a hump back. And now I'm trying to stand up a bit straighter, and that's easier now. I've kind of got better posture and better muscle tone.
Yeah, definitely. Before you came into Brightside, did you feel slightly intimidated about it at all, or worried about personal training, or was it a bit easier for you because you'd spoken to other people?
No, I didn't actually. I just hadn't considered it. The local studio, you know, it's quite cheap at LB Healthcare. I was just going there on my own, and I saw the odd people having training here and there, and I've never really given it much thought. But it was just when I bumped into someone from Brightside for the first time, and they put me in contact with Heather. That's when I thought, well, let's give this a proper go. Let's have 10 sessions, see what happens. And it worked well, and I've stuck with it since then.
Yeah, never really looks back, have you? It's just continued onwards from there, consistency, and you've got a really, really awesome result.
Yeah, I mean, I've realised for me, to kind of stay in good shape, I need to do 5 hours of pretty good quality exercise a week. That just seems to be where I've kind of landed. You know, that doesn't all have to be personal training, of course. It can be a mix and match, but 5 hours seems to be roughly the magic number for me. That's what I've got to now, and it seems to be working. So it's now part of my life rather than a one-off thing. I know I've got to do that now forever.
Yeah.
But 5 hours isn't so bad. There's a lot of hours in the week. You can usually find the time to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Did you start off at less than that with obviously a 10 session?
I did. When I was doing everything on my own, maybe I did 3 times a week, but they were lower intensity, and I was doing probably a bit too much cardio, but quite easy cardio, I think. So it was having benefits. It was having a bit of fat loss, weight reduction, but it wasn't really giving me a lot of the muscle tone stuff, which I do get now from the personal training.
Definitely, that's fantastic. So looking along the journey then and working with the team, how have you found working with different trainers? Because obviously it's a little bit different to just working with one. How have you found the process?
Yeah, so I spend most of the time obviously with yourself and with Heather. So you've both got to know me very well, and you know my weak points, and you know my knee that's a bit dodgy, and how we handle that. I think what's also really good is from time to time I meet the other trainers, shake things around. And one thing I've said to you quite a lot of times is whenever you have a session with a different trainer, you always ache after it, because of course every trainer has their own preferred exercise specialism. So it's good to get the variety, and I feel like I've had quite a broad range of training styles, and I like doing it. I've probably met probably six of the trainers I think now, maybe 6 or 7. It's all been fine. We've done some over Zoom, we've done some in the gym, and it's all been good. So it's nice to meet new people.
Definitely, it always adds in a bit of variation, keeps it interesting as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
for sure. So at the current stage you're at, you've obviously lost an awesome amount of weight, and that's been a nice steady process. Has it felt overwhelming at any stage, or have you just felt like you can keep chipping away at it?
No, I think there were probably a couple of years ago, some of the sessions did feel quite hard. I was working quite hard, and I did think, oh, this is really tough. But actually now I think I've got to a place where I understand what my capabilities are. I know where not to try too hard, because there's no point killing yourself. I'm a bit older. So now I'm quite happy with it. It's working now, and I feel I'm now exercising at quite a lot higher level than I did 3 years ago. So the sessions, I'm getting more out of them. I'm working harder, and I'm working at a level I couldn't have worked at 3 years ago, and still making progress. So at the moment, I'm quite happy with it.
Yeah, it's brilliant to continually make progress for that long.
Yeah.
And just to continue to see better results, getting stronger, etc., which now obviously you're working on now. For you then, have you tried anything previously? Obviously going to the gym on your own was kind of working and then plateaued a bit. Have you tried anything before that in terms of diet? Or
Yeah, I tried a couple of diets, and they had kind of worked, and then when you stop them, you put the weight back on. So, and a kind of a one-hit diet doesn't work for me. I had to make it a lifestyle change. So although I have improved my diet as well, and I've certainly cut down the kind of units of alcohol per week, I like to count units. It works for me.
Yeah.
You can convert any drink into a number then. I have made a lot of improvements there, but nothing too dramatic. The main thing is the exercise side. And I think the key really has just been the consistency. When I realised you don't exercise to lose weight, you should really exercise forever, because it's just good for you, even when you've lost the weight. Now I get it. I should have got it when I was younger, but I've worked it down now. So now I'm just going to keep doing it.
Yeah, it takes time sometimes, doesn't it? We all have our own sort of different journeys of finding why we exercise and why it's important to us. And how
back then, I work from home now as a contractor, so I have a bit more free time. But back then I was a full-time employee, and I just didn't have as much time as well. So I've had to make time for this, because 5 hours a week, you've got to have a shower afterwards. You add it all up, it is quite a time commitment, but it's definitely worth it. The work-life balance is just right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think you've got that nailed for sure, and it's good that it's fitting into your lifestyle. So for you then, what's next, and what are you working on now, just so people can kind of see your progress?
Yeah, so when I kind of hit my weight loss goal, I always wanted to get down to about 1410. I think I arrived at that number because it's a BMI of 25, so it's at the top of normal, which is about right for my height. And I remember being that weight back when I was 20, and I kind of felt a bit better then. So that was the weight I picked, but it actually kept going. Because I've been losing weight for so long, I didn't know kind of what to do to stop it. And then, discussing it with you, actually, I've stopped losing weight now, and I'm trying to put on a bit more muscle, by eating the right food and going to the gym. So for me, touch wood, the weight loss bit's finished. I've done that now. So now I'm looking to get a bit fitter and a bit stronger. But I didn't really want to start that too much until I nailed the weight loss thing. That's the kind of primary. That's done now. So now I'm looking to get fitter and stronger. And also, the other thing I would add is my son's 14. So if I set a good example, well, he'll then come along and do the same thing. So I think it's a good idea doing that.
Yeah, obviously, you've had your son getting involved in a few sessions as well, which is always good to get a family session going and getting him introduced to the gym in the correct way and technique. And I think
it's good stuff. Yeah,
that kind of shows the example that you've been setting there, Gary, to get the whole family involved as well. And I know you guys obviously doing your own little thing at home too.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I've got a very simple gym at home now. You have just a bench and a few weights, but you don't need a great deal. It's not that hard. You can do a lot of body weight after all, so it's fine. And now I do some sessions at home with the family to complement what I do with the personal training, and it works well.
Amazing. It's good to see that spill over into everyone else in your family and your household as well. So with what you're currently doing at the moment, what impact has it made for you, and what can you go and do more now? We've obviously discussed with cleaning the cars, not being in pain. Yeah. Is there any other areas that you feel that it's improved?
It makes, how can I put it? It makes every kind of second of your day when you're moving just a little bit better. But because it's constant, it's actually quite a big improvement. Everything I do now is just a bit easier. Moving around, walking upstairs, I'm not as out of breath at the top. We're not doing it much at the moment, but if I do go into London for business or whatever, you're walking around. When I was heavier, it wasn't much fun. You're wearing a suit, you get a bit sweaty. That's not nice. And that doesn't really happen so much now because I'm fitter. So yeah, it's really just, enabling me to move around with much more kind of ease and comfort and not kind of feel exhausted when I haven't really been doing anything that hard, but just when my weight made it feel hard. So it's nice to have that behind me now.
Brilliant. So just day-to-day life's a lot easier just because you're better health. Fantastic. And what would your advice to be with anyone that sort of sat on the fence about trying personal training or getting started on their own weight loss journey? What would your advice be to them?
Well, I would say give it a go. I mean, you've only got the one body you've been given. You can't really change it. It's a pretty amazing thing when you think about it, but the deal is you've got to look after it. And so I think that is the thing I've certainly learned, is that means you do need to exercise, but you need to make it part of your life. It's not a one-off thing. You need to be doing something every week. And that's certainly what I intend to do from now on. So that's the plan. So thanks to you and Heather for helping me on the journey, certainly, because now I know I'm going to be doing it forever. So.
Well, that's it. And it's a pleasure to be a part of the journey, Gary. So well done on your journey so far. Obviously, great success for the weight loss, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks very much, Gary.
Thank you.
There we go. Just stop that.